Everyone hold on a goddamn second!
Did you know that Texas switches and visual effects can work together? Game Night is one of my favourite feature comedies. The script is witty, the performances are hilarious, it's really visually inventive, and most of all, it's just so playful. Take this set piece where our heroes play a high-stakes game of hot potato. I mean, that's literally what it says in the script. The whole sequence is just delightful, and it's a masterclass of clever filmmaking. So I'm going to break it down, especially its use of Texas switches.
You're not going to know what's real and what's fake.
Even if you haven't seen it, you probably don't need much context to appreciate the scene. So I'll just give you the short version. Our heroes here, they've broken into a mansion to recover a Fabergé egg for Max's criminal brother. Which is kind of something out of a James Bond movie, right?
Here's the original. I switched it with the fake during the auction.
Part of what makes this work is I don't think I even needed to give you that much information, because one of the great things about this set piece being inspired by a real-life game is that it makes the rules of the scene obvious to the audience. We know who the teams are, we know what they want and how they're going to try and get it.
Some kind of rich guy's fight club.
I knew it. They are real.
Before I go any further, I want to admire the moment where Ryan here is caught stealing the egg. The setup is this shot, a longish lens where we can see everyone around Ryan focusing on the fight that's in the foreground out of focus. It's placed within the fighter's perspective without being a literal point of view shot like this or this. Even this reaction shot of Sarah is on a long enough lens to isolate her. Then we go to the fight. Like everyone else, we're distracted by it, and we get to enjoy this excellent roundhouse kick for a moment. As a side note, it's sold really well by the performers and their camera placement. And the fighter's daze here is, I love it. It's like something from a Looney Tunes cartoon. We cut to the reverse, the camera tilting down as the fighter falls. But then the camera tilts back up, finding Ryan holding the egg. That's the payoff, with the camera itself doing the double take. That's just some great visual comedy. Again, they're matching POV-like shots. So Ryan has the egg now, and the heroes need to leave with it, and that is the start of the chase. The visual language of the chase is artfully set up by this 90-degree tilt-up that recalls the David Fincher of Panic Room and Fight Club. It tells us that the camera will not be coupled to the characters. Instead, it is omniscient. It knows just where to be. In fact, a lot of Game Night feels like a fun riff on Fincher's signature style. The centerpiece of the hot potato sequence is a oner. Now, oners are often technically impressive, and this one is, but they can also be really powerful. And I think this oner is a good example of why. Firstly, it's all in real time, which adds to the intensity and the stakes. Every throw and every catch feels risky. It's like watching a sport. Secondly, it gives us a good sense of the environment, and that spatial awareness adds to the sense of danger around every corner. In fact, this sequence was shot on location in a newly built mansion, and they planned the transit of the egg and all the camera work and stunts around the physical place. And I think this choice actually makes the lunacy that is going on feel grounded. Lastly, I think the lack of cuts make us feel kind of breathless. Editor Walter Murch described cuts as a kind of a blink. And so when they're absent, I think it forces us to stare wide-eyed, unblinking, and that makes us feel tense. And the cut after Sarah has caught the egg actually tells us the sequence is over. We exhale. This is a great moment of the omniscient camera where the POV breaks away from the character we're following, Michelle, to find one of the bad guys. This creates a brief moment of suspense. Oh no, she's going to get caught. And then she enters frame and immediately turns around, literally exiting the same side of frame as she entered. That makes the motion visually faster and makes that spinning on her heels gag work better. Even though the railings only tickle the bottom of the frame, we can still feel them as they whoosh past. We know they're there. So when Michelle tries the door and it's locked, we know she's trapped. And we also know that the goon that we just saw is quickly coming up on her. This is why establishing an environment in a way that builds an audience's spatial awareness can be so powerful. The oner itself is stitched together from multiple subshots. Some of it is shot on a gimbal, and some of it shot on a cable camera. My gut feeling is that each subshot is, I think, built around the appropriate bit of grip kit for getting the camera move they wanted, which is probably stating the obvious, but I think the end effect is that changing the type of camera movement makes the whole sequence really dynamic and kinetic. The shift to a vertical move is really surprising and important to note from an action design perspective. It happens at the midpoint of this sequence. This stops it from getting stale. I also love that every one of our heroes gets their hand on the egg. That becomes part of the game, part of the fun for us as the audience. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have already noticed that Billy, who plays Ryan, is holding a physical egg, while Jason, who plays Max, is catching, well, nothing. CGI eggs do explain the perfect passes between the characters. Not needing actors to make perfect catches on camera would make it much faster to shoot. Of course, it does mean you miss out on wonderful opportunities like happened on Alien Resurrection.
The hell are you?
And this is where the Texas switches come in. Texas switches are most famous for transitioning between an actor and the stunt performer, or vice versa. There are plenty of great examples, but I just love this one from The Mummy. The trick actually predates cinema, as you can do it on stage with actors. And what she's doing here is actually changing props from a fancy lightsaber to a stunt lightsaber. In the modern era, digital VFX can and does assist with these switches. In this shot from Breaking Bad's episode The Fly, they actually do the transition in plain sight. It's very effective because we see the fall in a wide shot, and then rather than cutting to the close-up, they dolly in and we see it's Bryan Cranston. But what they've actually done is there's a very subtle kind of dissolve/morph, whatever you want to call it, when he's on the ground. And that's where they've changed between the stunt performer and Bryan Cranston. And there's something kind of like this in Game Night. If we take this moment earlier, you probably didn't even notice it. The stitch between the two plates allows for a seamless transition between Billy and what I assume is his stunt double, who is the one that actually throws themselves down the stairs. Notice we never see the stunt performer's face? I mean, you do if you pause on it, but on the run, nah. That means they didn't have to do a face replacement like they did with the stunt performers at the end of the sequence, saving them money. It's just smart filmmaking. And then they do an actual Texas switch in this moment here when we move away from the stunt double, find Boomer, and then come back to find Billy. Texas switches are also a great way to transition between a visual effects element and the live action plate. You can see that here. Rachel is holding a prop egg, but she never throws it. And we never see her throw it. Instead, the transition to a fully CGI egg is done entirely out of the frame. Sure, the egg kind of bounces around in Jason Bateman's hand if you're watching this in super slow-mo, but who cares? On the run, it happens so quick and is quickly obscured by the door. But if you look carefully at the F plate and G plates, you can see that he's holding a physical egg. I think it was given to him when he ducked behind the door. Clearly, the filmmakers wanted something there just in case. And even then, we don't actually see him let go of the egg in shot. This is a Texas switch, because the rolling egg is a CGI egg. And that CGI egg allows the filmmakers to choreograph the animation exactly to their needs. By not showing Max drop the egg, the filmmakers have smartly avoided the need for a transition between the physical prop egg and the visual effects one, which is the kind of visual effects shot that can quickly turn into a nightmare. And it's a nightmare that doesn't actually add much value to the audience's experience. The animation of this subshot, this plate, feels grounded because the framing isn't quite perfect. It's as if the camera operator can't quite predict where the egg will be, which he possibly didn't, given they shot it without a reference egg. And that's part of what makes it work. Compare it to this iconic shot from David Fincher's Panic Room, where the CGI mobile phone stops perfectly in frame. It feels more artificial, even if there is this subtle tilt, this correction midway through the shot. With the exception of this short pass made here, none of the other throws and catches are made on screen. Sometimes we see the throw, sometimes we see the catch, but not both in the frame at the same time. This reduces the VFX workload, so time, energy, and money can be spent focusing on what needs to be done for the sequence to look cool, and it does look cool.
Oh, well, thank you.
And look, if you want to be a purist and say that Texas switches can only be done between practical elements, great. I just find this a useful way to think and talk about how to do handovers between visual effects elements and live action ones. Thanks for coming to my Stu Talk. And thanks to our Brains Trust for their technical and creative insights for this video. Hi, I'm Stu Willis, and this is Shot Zero. We talk about shot design, because shot design isn't just how something looks, it's how it works. If you'd like to support our work, consider subscribing, buying some merch, or becoming a patron. For more info, visit our website, shot-zero.com.